David and Sophia had been together for 5 years, their love growing stronger with each passing day. As Valentine's Day approached, they decided to do something special. An intimate weekend getaway at a luxurious resort outside Lagos. David, ever the planner, had booked everything in advance, ensuring their trip would be seamless. Sophia, on the other hand, was thrilled but couldn't shake an uneasy feeling deep in her gut. She had always been attuned to her instincts, and something about this trip didn't sit right with her. That morning, as they packed their bags, Sophia hesitated before getting into the car. "Babe, let's say a quick prayer before we go," she suggested. David chuckled, shaking his head.
"Sophia, it's just a trip. We will be fine,"
he said, brushing off her concerns. Despite the unease, she didn't press the issue. As they pulled out of their apartment complex, she took a deep breath, hoping the strange feeling in her chest was nothing more than anxiety. Unbeknownst to the couple, someone from David's past was still holding on to grudge. Tolu, his ex-girlfriend, had never truly moved on from their breakup. She had loved David deeply and was devastated when he chose Sophia over her. Blinded by bitterness, she sought the help of a spiritualist. She didn't wish death upon him, but she wanted his love life to suffer. Let his happiness be short-lived, she muttered as the spiritualist performed a ritual, chanting words Tolu barely understood. She left that night feeling a strange sense of satisfaction, unaware of the forces she had set in motion. As David and Sophia drove through the city streets, the skies were clear and the roads were unusually free of traffic. They laughed and sang along their favorite songs, obviously to the unseen energy hovering over them. Tolu's course had already begun its work, waiting for the right moment to strike. They had been driving for about an hour before Sophia's unease intensified. She couldn't explain it, but something felt off. She glanced at David, who was focused on the road, his hands gripping the steering wheel confidently. "David, I think we should turn back," she said hesitantly. He sighed, keeping his eyes on the road.
"Sophia, you are worrying too much. We have been planning this for weeks. Let's just enjoy the ride."
Sophia looked out the window, watching the trees blow past. A sign on the road caught her attention. "Take a different route," it read. She blinked in surprise. When she looked again, the words had changed back to a regular road sign. Shaking her head, she chalked it up to her imagination. Still, the nagging feeling in her chest refused to fade. Just as they neared a deserted stretch of highway, the car jolted violently. A loud popping sound followed, and David quickly pulled over. He stepped out to inspect the vehicle, shaking his head in frustration.
"The tire is blown,"
he announced. Sophia's stomach twisted with dread. To make matters worse, their phones had no signal.
"We will have to wait for help,"
David said, leaning against the car. Minutes passed, then an hour. The sun began to set, casting airy shadows along the quiet road. Just as Sophia started to panic, they saw an elderly man walking towards them. He had a small roadside store nearby and offered them a seat and some water. His eyes lingered on Sophia before he pulled her away.
"You were meant to take a different road,"
he whispered.
"Something dangerous waits ahead."
Sophia felt a chill run down her spine. The old man's words replayed in her mind as she returned to David. "I think we should go back," she urged. David frowned, glancing at the car.
Sophia, we are already halfway there. We just need to fix the tire.
But something in her expression made him pause. She wasn't just nervous, she was terrified. "Please, David, let's just find another way home." Reluctantly, David agreed. They used the old man's phone to call a ride back to Lagos. As they waited, Sophia couldn't shake the feeling that they just escaped something terrible. The next morning, as they sat in their living room, Sophia scrolled through the news on her phone. Her heart stopped when she saw the headline: "Traffic highway accident leaves dozens dead." She clicked on the article, her breath catching in her throat. The accident had occurred on the exact route they had planned to take. A multiple car collision had resulted in numerous casualties if they hadn't turned back. She showed the article to David, whose face turned pale.
"Oh my God,"
he whispered. His hands trembled as he set the phone down. For the first time, he realized how close they had come to disaster.
"You saved us,"
he murmured, looking at Sophia with newfound respect. David had always been a man of logic, but that day changed something in him. He started paying attention to Sophia's intuition, no longer dismissing her feeling as mere superstition.
"Maybe there's more to life than what we can see,"
he admitted one evening as they sat on their balcony. Sophia smiled, squeezing his hands. "Sometimes we just have to listen." Tolu scrolled through the same news article, her heart pounding. She never intended for anything like this to happen. Guilt consumed her, and she knew she had gone too far. That night, she returned to the spiritualist, begging him to reverse whatever curse she had placed. "I don't want any harm to come to them," she pleaded. The spiritualist only smiled knowingly. The universe has already intervened. David and Sophia decided to take a different kind of trip, one to a countryside, where they could disconnect from the chaos of the city. As they sat beneath a starlight sky, David turned to her.
"I don't need a fancy getaway to celebrate our love. As long as we have each other, that's enough."
Sophia leaned into him, feeling grateful. "Happy Valentine's Day, my love." As they walked hand in hand through the quiet village, Sophia whispered a silent prayer of thanks. Love was not just about the grand gestures or the special trips. It was about listening, trusting, and protecting one another. And for that faithful Valentine's Day, she had done just that. The end. Thank you guys for watching, and hope you found this story interesting. Please leave your comments below, give this video a like, and make sure to hit the subscribe button for more interesting stories like this. See you in the next one.